Hello, welcome back, guys. The knock comes at 6:12 in the morning. Your roommate already left for work. You're not home. Your phone lights up with a notification from a neighbor. Hey, there are federal agents at your apartment. Then another message. They said they just need to look around real quick. Minutes later, you see video from a hallway camera. Two ICE agents are talking to your landlord. One of them says, "We're just checking welfare concerns and immigration records." Then the door opens. No judge, no signed warrant shown to you, no chance to object. Now ask yourself this. Can they legally enter your home when you're gone? Can a landlord let them in? What if a roommate says yes? And if they already searched the place, what should you say next? Because right now, more people are learning the hard way that the biggest mistake in any police or ICE encounter is not understanding the difference between permission and authority. One wrong sentence can turn a questionable search into consent. One emotional reaction can become interference. And one attempt to explain too much can give investigators exactly what they came for. So in this video, you're going to learn the new tactics people are reporting during ICE home visits, what agents are often looking for, the difference between a judicial warrant and an administrative ICE warrant, what rights may still apply even when you're not home, and the exact words you should use if you come back and discover agents entered your residence. One piece of knowledge can change how a situation ends for you. Subscribe now so you're prepared. Then share this video and tell me what you think about it in the comments. Because most people think rights only matter during traffic stops, but home searches are where some of the biggest legal mistakes happen. First, understand this. ICE agents, like police officers, may try to get consents before trying to get a warrant signed by a judge. Why? Because consent is fast. Consent avoids court challenges. And once someone with apparent authority gives permission, agents may argue the search was lawful. That's the trap. A lot of people think if I'm not home, they can't get in. That is not always true. If another resident voluntarily allows entry, that can change everything. If a roommate says, "Sure, come inside," agents may later claim they had legal consent to enter common areas. And many people do not realize landlords usually cannot legally consent to a full search of a tenant's private living space, unless specific exceptions apply. But in the moment, people panic. Landlords panic. Family members panic. Neighbors start talking, and suddenly agents are inside. Now listen carefully to this common scenario. An agent knocks on the door. Federal agents, we just need to ask a few questions. The roommate cracks the door open. The agent says, "We don't want trouble. Can we come in and clear this up?" That wording matters. They are asking, not ordering. And the second someone says, "Okay," the legal situation may completely change. So what should someone say instead? "Officer, I do not consent to entry or searches without a warrant." That sentence matters because it clearly separates cooperation from permission. You are not threatening anyone. You are not resisting. You are simply refusing consent. And notice the wording. Not, "I have nothing to hide." Not, "What happens if I say no?" Not, "Maybe just for a second." A clear no. Because nervous half consent becomes evidence later. Now, let's talk about another major issue. A lot of people do not understand the difference between a judicial warrant and an administrative ICE warrant. This distinction is huge. A judicial warrant is generally signed by a judge. An administrative immigration warrant is often signed internally by immigration authorities. In many situations, an administrative ICE warrant alone may not authorize forced entry into a private residence without consent. That's why agents sometimes rely heavily on conversation, pressure, urgency, or confusion. You may hear things like, "If you cooperate, this will go easier. We just need to verify information. If you don't open the door, it will look suspicious." But suspicion is not automatic consent. Now imagine you arrive home after agents already entered. Most people immediately make the worst possible move. They start talking. "What happened? My cousin only stays here sometimes. There must be some misunderstanding." That is exactly what investigators want. Information, admissions, clarifications, timelines, relationships. Instead, slow the situation down immediately. Use calm, controlled language. I do not consent to any searches. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? That phrase does two things at once. First, it reinforces that you are not voluntarily approving what happened. Second, it forces officers to clarify your status, because many people stay in conversations thinking they are required to answer questions when legally they may not be. Now, here's another trap. Fast movements create danger. Destroying evidence can create separate legal problems, and sudden actions can escalate tension instantly. Instead, keep your hands visible. Move slowly. Say exactly what you are doing. I'm reaching for my phone slowly. Or, my identification is in my back pocket. Simple communication lowers risk. Now, another issue people miss completely: the protective sweep. Sometimes officers claim they are only checking for people inside for safety reasons. That does not necessarily mean they automatically get unlimited authority to search every drawer, device, or container. But this area can become legally complicated very fast depending on the circumstances. That's why your roadside debate skills will not help you here. Do not try to litigate constitutional law in your kitchen doorway. You preserve rights by clearly refusing consent and remaining calm, not by physically blocking agents, not by screaming legal buzzwords, not by escalating. If agents are entering despite your objection, say this: I am not resisting, but I do not consent to this search. That line is extremely important. Why? Because it communicates two separate things clearly. You are complying physically, but you are not waiving objections legally. Many people accidentally destroy future legal arguments by sounding cooperative and approving. Now, let's address one of the most dangerous mistakes of all: lying. People panic and start inventing stories. He moved out months ago. I don't know that person. That's not his room. False statements to federal investigators can become serious legal problems on their own. Silence is safer than improvisation, always. And remember this: being respectful does not mean surrendering every right. You can stay calm and still refuse consent. You can comply with lawful commands and still remain silent. You can avoid escalation without volunteering information. That balance matters. Now, here's another scenario that catches people off guard. Agents say, if you have nothing to hide, why not let us in? That sentence is psychological pressure, not legal proof. Rights do not disappear because refusing feels uncomfortable. And many people consent simply because they fear looking suspicious, but courts often examine whether consent was voluntary. That's why clarity matters so much. Not vague statements, not nervous laughter, not stepping aside silently. Clear language. I do not consent to searches. Now, depending on the facts, agents may still proceed. Do not physically interfere. Let your lawyer challenge legality later if necessary. The doorway is not the courtroom. Another thing people misunderstand is recording. In many places, recording law enforcement in public areas is protected activity as long as you are not interfering. But laws vary, especially regarding audio recording and private property situations. So stay calm, keep distance, and avoid obstructing movements, and never shove a phone into an officer's face trying to create viral footage. That usually ends badly. Now, let's bring this all together. If ICE agents or police show up at your home while you're gone, remember the core issue is usually consent versus legal authority. Do not assume agents always need the same type of warrant in every circumstance. Do not assume roommates understand your rights. Do not assume landlords know the limits of their authority. And if you return during or after a search, do not panic and start explaining everything. The safest framework is simple. Stay calm, keep your hands visible, do not make sudden movements, do not physically resist, do not consent to searches, do not volunteer information, ask whether you are free to leave, request a lawyer if questioning continues, and use clear phrases like, I do not consent to any searches. I choose to remain silent. Am I being detained or am I free to go? I want to speak to a lawyer. Those sentences create boundaries without escalating the situation. One final point. Laws can vary depending on the state, the exact facts, immigration status issues, warrant type, emergency circumstances, and who allegedly gave consent. This video is educational information, not personal legal advice. If you believe your rights were violated, speak with a qualified attorney licensed in your area, because what you do in the first 60 seconds of an encounter can affect everything that happens after. And in the next video, we're breaking down another tactic catching people off guard.